Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Welcome to Around the Turnbuckle. I'm the Big Alboski. That guy right there is Professor Keith, as always. Joining us live from Colorado is our new friend PLEXX, the Livest Mexx. What's up, PLEXX?
What's up, y'all? We just want to say hi. It's your boy, the Livest Mexx, PLEXX. Thank you guys for having me on the podcast.
Absolutely, man. Our pleasure. It's our pleasure. And let's get right to it. On this Mother's Day, and happy Mother's Day to everybody, all the mothers out there. From me and Keith and PLEXX, happy Mother's Day to everybody. If you watch this live or if you watch this down the road. And a special note that's going to be flashing on the bottom of my screen is that Keith and I are taking the week off next week. I'm on vacation, so I won't be around. So next week we have no show. So normally we're every Sunday at 6 o'clock, guys. So like, subscribe, share us out, spread the word, give us some more viewers, give these guys a bigger stage to introduce themselves and tell them their stories. But Keith and I will be back the following week, the 28th, and on June, I believe it's the 4th, which is the week after that, is our 3rd year anniversary coming up.
Wow, congratulations.
So, yes, the first Saturday in June will be Keith and I's 3-year anniversary with Around the Turnbuckle. So we're excited about that. We got surprises. I got a couple surprises in store for the professor. I haven't told him, obviously, because it wouldn't be a surprise if I did. Okay. That being said, PLEXX, once upon a time, man, before you jumped in the ring and put your body on the line for our entertainment, you fell in love with wrestling. When did that happen for you?
I gotta say, honestly, I was just telling my wife about this not too long ago. And actually, when I was about 11, 10 or 11, I was sitting at one of my cousin's house, and he actually was getting some satellite TV. And when the satellite TV got hooked up, we watched Monday Night Raw. And so who happened to be on Monday Night Raw? Stone Cold Steve Austin. And that's kind of like, that's where I kind of just like, because I knew more, like when I was growing up, I had my brothers and, we grew up watching wrestling, but I wasn't really like invested in wrestling yet until I saw Stone Cold. And it was me and my cousin, actually my cousin Jacob. And like, he was just like, man, do you see that? And I'm like, yeah, can we do that? And we're like, let's try it. And like, it didn't really work out well. But that's where like my heart for the business started, was that Monday Night Raw watching Stone Cold Steve Austin. And, it took off ever since. And I always had a love, and I've always been a fan of wrestling since the beginning. I was a big WWF fan, and to this day I still love WWE. But actually, like, my journey and everything, how I got started, it actually starts with AEW.
Okay.
So a lot of people don't know this, but my journey actually starts with one match, and it turned my whole world. So you got to think about where I came from, that whole golden turning into the attitude era, the aggression era. So watching Jon Moxley and Kenny Omega, their unsanctioned lights out match,
right,
took me back to that 13-year-old kid again.
Really?
Like the hardcoreness, the ECW type of match, like it was all wrapped up in one match.
Were you into ECW back in the day too?
Yeah, I was a big ECW fan. Yeah, so like all that stuff wrapped up in one ball for me. I was just like, I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, yes, ooh, ooh, jumping up. And that was just like, I want to do that. Like, like, how do I do that? So I started searching around and, looking around, and that match really hit me, and I didn't really know where to start to begin my journey.
Okay.
So my journey, actually, gentlemen, my journey started 4 years ago.
Okay.
So that's where this all really started. It started about 4 years ago with that match in particular, and I got into AEW, and I just was like, wow, what they were doing, how they opened up the well for all these independent wrestlers to
Yeah.
really shine.
Mhm.
And I was like, wow, that's really great. That's something that WWE has never done.
No.
And it was really great
With a
because
few example. I mean, there's been few guys that have gotten through the indies, and like AJ Styles, for example, kind of got through there, and
Yeah.
I know that Seth Rollins was a big indie star before he,
Daniel
but for the most
Bryan.
part, you're
Less
right.
interested in working with other promotions, I think, is where you were going with it, right? PLEXX?
Yeah.
Like actually being willing to acknowledge and bring in other companies and be like, yeah, sure, come on our platform and bring your talent and let's have it out and let's see and kind of expand the tent.
Yeah, that's what I liked about it, and I was like, great, because I really like, I always wanted to do it, and I just really never like had a direction or like a place to go or like people to support. So like for me, I really started looking into it, and I came a guy. I actually came a brother of mine that actually got me into the business. Tigre Belcon from Philadelphia. Um, from I believe it's Frontier Premier Pro Wrestling that he had before. Great guy, great gentleman. Like, oh my God, he helped me in so many ways. So when we got into the business, we talked about like for like 3 hours early in the morning. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning. We talked for like a good 3 hours, and he tried to give me all the resources he could to try to help me here in Colorado.
Right.
And he was like, bro, I don't really have too much sources. My people really don't know. But all I can suggest is that you go to your local schools. Go to all of them. Just don't go to one. Go to all of them and see what your best fit is.
Mm-hmm.
So where was that for you?
So I stopped at SoCo Pro. I stopped at Empower SoCo Pro Wrestling. I stopped at Empower Training Center Pro Wrestling, Rocky Mountain. I also stopped at the Butcher Shop up in Denver.
Right.
So I ended up at Empower Pro Wrestling up in Colorado Springs. And I got trained under two guys named Eric Lalone and Jimbo Hard Knock Lucas.
Okay.
That's where it started for me, because actually Eric was like, he threw me in there. Like I went to go thinking that I was gonna get a tour, and this is kind of the stuff we do. He was like, take your shoes off. Let's see what you got. Get in there.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Run it. And I was all nervous, and I was like, no, I'm not ready yet. Can I come back Tuesday? And he goes, why? I was like, because I'm not dressed for this. I'm not like, I was all dressed all super nice, and like I was dressed to impress, because like it meant like the world to me.
Yeah.
So like, and he was like, well, we're just doing promos. And I was like, yeah, I'm not ready to do this right now. I don't feel to the standards. So I ended up showing that next Tuesday, and that's kind of like I started rolling. I was ready out. I had my mindset like, wow, I'm really going to do this, right? So Tuesday came around, and I was so ready to do it. I was like supercharged, and that's where I just started going from there, from Empower. And I actually went to school for about 16 months before I actually had my first match.
Well, talk about your first match.
So I actually had my first match with Colorado Springs Wrestling, with Randy Chacon. He gave me my first shot. And it was actually a battle royal.
Right.
And it was actually at the Vibes baseball game in Colorado Springs.
Awesome.
And then that was just one weekend. The following weekend, I actually had a real match with my coach Jimbo Lucas. It was a one-on-one match that I got to have, and that was, I believe, was also at a Vibes baseball game, but it was called La Llorona. Dia de la Llorona or something like that. They were having something at the baseball game. It was a big old celebration, which was really great. The Plex wasn't really Plex was really beginning that those times.
That was my
when he
next
was
question, man. Like, what did you bill yourself as? Because you weren't Plex the Livest Mexx from the beginning, right?
I was Plex, but I wasn't the Livest Mexx yet.
Okay.
I was just Plex, the Crooked City Wrestler.
Describe the Crooked City Wrestler. I want to know about that.
So I'm
That sounds
originally
awesome.
I'm originally from Corpus Christi, Texas.
Oh, really?
Yes. So that's where I come from. A lot of people are like, oh, you come from the Crooked City. Corpus Christi is a really beautiful place, but it also has its dark sides. So that's where I was like, okay, how can I interpret it? How can I turn it into something great? And I was like, well, I wanted to be a heel when I was in school so bad. I was like, you're a heel. You're a heel. You're a heel. So I came out with a lot of heelish things. And so that's how the Crooked City Wrestler really got started. Because I even have a whole nother intro song that was made by my cousin, Mr. Zeke from Corpus Christi, that made my whole intro as a heel intro. And that's where I started developing where I was going with my where I was going with Plex.
Right.
Because Plex, really, people don't really realize that Plex is not a person. I'm not a person.
What are you?
When I'm in the ring, I'm a car.
Oh.
I'm a slab, what we call in Texas. Those beautiful Texas lowriders they call with the rims poking out.
I got you.
When they pop trunk, you see all the nice neon lights, and well, that's what you see when you get Plex. Why do you think you get the Plex glasses, the neon hat, the neon teeth? Everything's just LED. I'm the car. Because me in wrestling, I always loved being something more than life, more than anything. Like how the Fiend is, how the Undertaker is, how Papa Shango was. Those are the type of G's that I really looked up to, because they were bigger than life, and they were things that you would never thought of that to see in the ring.
Right.
And that's what I like to bring, because every day, I see every day, people like to do them shooting names and the MMA thing. And I'm not real, to me, that's not wrestling. I want to be a character that I built, that I created, that I can go with. And to me, that's wrestling.
You described your character. Talk about your developing of your moveset. Did you come up with different things? Did you derive from different guys? Did you study old stuff before your time?
So my moveset, I actually created my moveset off of songs by Houston.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So one of my moves called the back. Actually, that song was written by a legend from Houston named Hawk.
Mm-hmm.
Big Hawk. And his song was called the back. So what I like to do is I like to grab, when a dude throws a line, I like to hook it with my right while directing him into the corner and hitting him with the left. And then I hit him with the right. And then I hit him with another right. It'll be 3 rights. And then I hit you with the Undertaker uppercut that hits you right back into the buckle. And I tell you, back.
Got it.
Back, give me 50 feet, So that's one of my moves. And then with my finisher I created, well, of course, because of the car, I call it the pop trunk.
Okay.
Right.
But before I even pop trunk on you, I like to do what I call the Shawn Michaels stomp. And I do the whole pop, that, trunk, pop, that, and I like to get the crowd really boosted into that and let them feed into it. So that's been something that I've been really working on really well so I can get that crowd to really start saying it with me. So when I hit it, most of the time they know, because some of my fans that have already seen me and follow me, they know what's coming. But yeah, those are like two of my, and the senton. I'd like to do a big senton. And this, well, of course, I like to do a big sling, the sling blade, which I call the swang. So
I love it. I love it.
So you
But
got a really interesting style from like the moves you're describing, because you got a bit of the striker in you with the backpack, then you got a little bit of the technical, but you got some explosive in there too with things like the sling blade and with your finish and all of that stuff. It's really interesting. And I mean, I like your philosophy too, because you know what it kind of reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of the story of Gorgeous George, because that was kind of how Gorgeous George got started. He was a guy that was, black trunks, black boots, standard wrestler, wasn't getting anywhere. George Wagner wasn't getting any traction. And then he goes home and he brainstorms with his wife, and it's like, well, what about a robe? What about if I dye my hair blonde? What about if I put curlers in there? What if I get a mallet? What if I start to go over the top and be something that nobody's really seen before? And George Wagner goes away, Gorgeous George comes out, and all of a sudden he's got a sensation. He's got something that the people can't help but pay attention to.
Yeah, see, that's where I started developing like PLEXX, the Livest Mexx, because I slowly had it. So I had people like that, like my other, what I call them teammates, or brothers in the business, telling me, open your eyes, you're not a hill. Open your eyes, you're more than a hill. Look at your moves. Look at the way you are. Look at the way you react to people. It says that you're not a hill. You are more baby faced than ever, just within your moves and the way that you love to be around the people. Yeah. And love to be like in the camera. You love to be in the spotlight.
And you love for them to react to your moves too.
Yeah, and then like a lot of the kids like to cling to me because I have the light up shoes, the glasses, and it's great because like they really react to my matches, and it's like gives me that sensation. Like I did create something really great, and like a lot of people didn't know, but it doesn't really come overnight. Like while I was in school, I didn't realize that the Livest Mexx was gonna be born. Like I thought I was gonna be this hillish guy, and people were gonna hate me, and I was gonna be able to do all this stuff. But to realize that wasn't who I really was. And now that I found out who I am, and it's starting to become a build, plus I have this phenomenal ring announcer that I love to bring to my shows.
Just to announce you?
Yes. Personal. He's my personal ring announcer. Jay Sizzle Frizzle.
I love it. Shout out.
He is my personal ring announcer because he sounds like Bruce Buffer.
Oh, cool.
So if you guys haven't seen the intros of any of my matches, if you just watch him, he does a phenomenal job.
Gotta check that out.
Yeah, he's the one that like people tell me, well, when you go to the curtain right before you come out, what makes you like get so hyper and get in that mode? He does.
Yeah. He fires you up.
I feel like when I'm behind that curtain, he's doing my intro. I tell everybody, I think of Brock Lesnar. I think about like super hyper guys that come out really explosive. And that's what I want to bring. Like when I come out of that curtain, boom, the first thing you see is my energy. And I just want to just be able to spread it all the way through the whole arena. I want you to feel what I'm feeling when I come out of that curtain.
Keith, isn't it interesting?
If I come out looking all sad at them, you know,
Right.
you're gonna be all like, oh, why is Plex all sad? Like, oh, like I don't want that. I want you when I come out, this big old smile, and me like, yeah, let's go, lighting up like a light, shining light. That's me.
Awesome. Keith,
But
isn't it
yeah,
interesting? Never mind.
now go ahead.
I was gonna say, Keith, I was gonna ask Keith, when we interview guys, one of the questions we always ask is if they prefer to be heel or face, because most of them have done both.
Mhm.
And they usually give us an answer definitively one way or the other. With you, it kind of came more organic, because even though you wanted to be the heel, you have discovered organically that it's not who you are. Who you are is pleasing them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true. Honestly, for me, that is true because I did want to be a heel. I wanted to be that bad boy, and but like naturally, I had to figure out what was not working, and like they say, if it's not working, well, you got to figure the problem out. And
Right.
obviously, I found it out, and that's just that wisdom and the knowledge that sometimes you got to take that criticism and just like really apply it.
Mhm.
Some guys are like, no, but I want to be a heel, so I'm gonna keep working until I get to. But sometimes it's not that way.
Yeah.
Right.
You gotta like figure it like. And honestly, it took me a long time. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I'm kind of a stubborn mule sometimes, and I wasn't trying to see it. I'm like, no, I'm Plex. I come out with a red mask and it lights up skull, and like that's who I am. Then they're like, no,
Yeah. It's
look,
hard
brother,
because you come in
they're
with a
like,
plan
we've been
and
in the
come in with a way of
business.
seeing yourself, and it's hard to abandon that. It's hard to say, no, but I had this plan and I had this idea and this is what I wanted and this is what I dreamed about doing. And to have somebody go, yeah, and that's great, but it ain't working. You're not at your full potential doing that. And it's hard to make that 180 and say, yeah, maybe they're right. Maybe they've got some. Maybe I got to try this other thing.
So let me get you go take you guys into a little experience of mine. What made people see that I was a baby face. So I had a match at Motivate Pro Wrestling, right, with Marcus Johnson up there in
Yes.
Border, Texas.
Yep.
So it was against Dr. Payne.
Okay.
Me and Dr. Payne had a match. It was a one-on-one match. He actually put a straight jacket on me.
No.
Okay.
Yes. He locked me up to the barricade. He tightened me up so tight, though. Like, it wasn't tight, but it was tight enough. I literally had people untying me. They threatened to beat down Dr. Payne.
The fans?
The fans.
Damn.
Threatening to beat this man down because he was damaging me and hurting me, and he was tying me up to the barricade and cheating. That that's once they unleashed me, they were like, because they kicked the straps and they kicked the thing, when you're like those big old arm flaps.
Yep.
They were kicking them, and they were like, go, go get him. We want you to But it was then at that point that I stood up and they realized, like, the people of Porter were like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we believe. We believe. And one of my other promoters from Renegade Championship Wrestling, James Scribble, aka Outlaw,
Mm-hmm.
it was told to me that he never believed that I was a babyface. He was convinced I was always a heel. I turned that man into a believer.
Yep.
Right.
And he's our Renegade Championship Wrestling is actually where I wrestle here in Colorado. Is a place I call home.
Okay. That's the home base.
Yeah, our Renegade Championship place is where I became the 2-time Renegade Championship champion.
Awesome.
But I made that man a believer of me being a babyface. From now on, that man says you can never go back being a heel, and if you do, you'll break these people
Yeah, because
because you
what?
captured them like this.
Yeah, because what
Right.
you're describing, I mean, I talk about like the eureka moment or that moment where everything just falls into place. There's a guy that works for the promotion that we do commentary for, and he was in a tag team with somebody. Partner turns on him, costs him the tag titles. He gets destroyed by just these two monsters. They take the tag titles, and they've been doing for months. The partners coming and attacking him. And last month he had this promo, and he just, like you said, organically had the fans eating out of his hands because he just turned it into like, I'm your guy. I'm representing you. He's bullying me. He's beating me. He's sneak attacking me, and I'm not backing down. I'm going to do it for me, but I'm going to do it for all of you, and I'm going to do it for all the people out there that have had a door slammed in their face or someone bully them or someone tell them no. And I mean, that building, he could have gone out there and been like, and now we're going to go burn down the police station and commit some felonies. And I think people would have been like, where are the torches? Where are the torches? I'm with you.
Yeah.
He had him. He had him.
But that's like the most, but like, honestly, that is the greatest feeling in the world, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, because right after that, right, that's when I really started believing. So I ended up, right after that show, we ended up going to North Carolina
Okay.
to Matt Creed's anniversary, 30-year anniversary of AIWF up in North Carolina. Matt Creed and Ricky Diesel. Great dudes, great friend, fantastic guys. Like, I loved them both. They was amazing. So like when I went out there, the people didn't know who PLEXX was. They didn't know whether to cheer for me or boo for me. And so I got like a 50-50 reaction at first.
Right.
So I was like, okay, that's pretty good. Like, and I was like, man, usually I get a better reaction, but it was okay. And I was like, well, what could I do? Well, I had a triple threat match against Catman and G.I. Joe. And it was a great match. At the end of the day, at the end of the match, though, the people really got behind me because come that next Sunday, for the anniversary, because it was a double weekend. That's next Sunday. I had another match with a guy named Elijah Logan, I believe it was. And that was a fantastic match. When I came out, the people really got behind me that time, and they really followed who PLEXX was. And that was like, knowing that they didn't know who I was at first. By the time I left, then people loved PLEXX. And I was like, wow. Like, I just came into a city that, like, in a state that I didn't even know anybody. We did some promoting, but not as we usually do. And to walk away from that state to be like, no, people knew who PLEXX was a fantastic feeling. Like, for me, like, ever since I've been turning babyface, my whole journey has just totally just went like up the roof and like in a whole different direction.
Because now you're doing what you were meant to do. You're not plan. You're following organically where the fans want you to be, where they want you to go, and you're responding and you're with them. And yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, so we had a match last not this Saturday, but last Saturday up in Greenlee for Battlegrounds Pro Wrestling. And because and I actually went against a guy named Tomas Silvas from one of Gino Rivera's guys from Off the Ropes. Great guy.
Gino told you so, right?
Yeah, he's he's actually another upcoming guy in this in the Indies League around here in the Carolina, Colorado area, New Mexico, and Arizona area. Great guy. We actually had a really great match. He was the heel, of course. I came out. This thing is what I really enjoyed, though. Like usually, I like to say, "Let's go, PLEXX is here." I really just let my LED teeth show down that I got them. Like the kids, oh my god, they all jumped up and we're like, "Yay!" And like I really like to do it for the kids because like my whole gimmick, I feel like the kids like really see me as like this twinkly like little light that's just bouncing around the ring, and they're like, "Ooh!" So like it was really great. The monster we had a good 10-minute match. Really fought well. Really great guy.
Awesome.
Gino produces some really great wrestlers out of his camp from off the ropes. So,
Yeah, we've heard nothing but good things about Gino. We've had lots of guys that have either worked with him or have been trained by him. And he was going to be on our show several times, and scheduling conflicts happened, but we'll get him on here eventually to tell his story, because I know he'll be able to give advice, especially to the young guys.
Yeah, Gino's really good about that. Gino has a lot of great wisdom about this game, and I can actually say that about him, like because he's helped mentor me in a few situations myself. So I can admit that, yeah, Gino is a great mentor, and he has a lot of wisdom and a great mind for this. Like I really like the guy.
So, man, 4 years in, what would you say was some of your best matches and or opponents that you've had in your mind?
I actually enjoyed my one of my first gimmick matches. Actually, it was the Pop the Trunk match with Fonzie, Mother Lovin' LaFleur versus the Livest Mexx PLEXX. It was like a 15-minute match. It was a 15-minute match.
What were the rules?
No rules.
No rules. Okay.
You got to just put somebody in the trunk.
Well, that's what I was asking. How do you win?
You got to pop the trunk. So originally the match was supposed to be me, Fonzie, and a guy named XJ Chaos.
Okay.
And then say Extreme Juggalo.
Extreme Gigolo.
Yeah. But me and Fonzie ended up cutting 2 promos so well that we ended up getting the other guy cut off because he didn't cut a promo, and we didn't mean to make it that way, but somehow Fonzie was cutting a promo where he was stuffing like some type of trash or something in his car. And then all of a sudden it looked like a body bag. And then he's like, "Yeah, PLEXX did it." And so I was like, "Is that right?" So I did a clap back promo on him. And like for a whole month, we were just doing like a promo battle back and forth. And then like we just developed this. Well, we're gonna make you guys do a pop trunk match. And that was like because during the match, like we started it, and like Fonzie's hitting me, and like I go into a pole to the corner pose, and I hit. All of a sudden, I'm sweating, but I have red like dye spray in my hair. And I thought it was gonna stick. Well, it didn't stick. All of a sudden, that sweat and then everything made it all start running red down my face. So everybody swore that I was bleeding, and they were like, "No, he gigged." And I was like, "No, I didn't." And then like my promoter's like, "Come here, let me see your eyebrow." He's checking my eyebrow. He's checking my forehead. He goes, "I know a gig job when I see one. How did you make yourself bleed like that?" And I was like, "Let me tell you, bro, hair dye."
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then my other great match, I would have to say, would be the time I became the 2-time Renegade champion.
Okay.
Which is what we call the Royal Roulette match. Okay. It was a triple threat match between PLEXX, the Livest Mexx, versus Spitfire Marcus Johnson.
Okay.
Versus Fonzie Mother Lovin' before. He was the RCW champ at the time. The rules of that match were there was a 20-minute clock.
Okay.
It was a countdown. And the only way to win was whoever had the belts at the end. So you could get pinned like the belt was gonna be consistently changing hats.
Right.
Right.
Like a
So there
scramble
was
situation.
so Marcus actually became. I want to say he became also a 2-time Renegade champion that night.
Mm-hmm.
Fonzie became a 3-time champion that night, and I became the 2-time champion as well. So like it was one wild ride because it was
Awesome.
consistently like we were consistently always switching over and making
Right.
sure that title was flipping hands and people were like cheering and oh the match is over and like bit nope not yet sorry.
You gotta go to the 20.
Yeah, because at first like the people didn't realize there was a countdown.
Mm.
And because there was like some difficulties with the screen,
Yeah.
and then like I was like in the middle of the match, I had to ask the ref, "Hey, what time is it?" He goes, I'm not sure, and I'm like, "What?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh
If
well,
anybody should know, he should, right?
yeah." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh well, we gotta keep going." And I
Yeah.
look at Marcus and Real Marcus were like, "Let's go." We were just like straight, like pedal to the metal. There was no stopping. It was just full on, like we were going. And it was so awesome that night. Like that night was an amazing night.
Well, thank God you guys didn't blow up, because that would be the first thing I'd be thinking of.
Oh.
You don't know
Oh
what
no,
time
let
it is,
me
and it's
tell you.
like,
Marcus Johnson broke my nose that night.
oh,
Oh.
shit.
I just got my nose redone because I had broken it before. So I had just got my nose redone in surgery. And like we were on the floor, and all of a sudden, all I know is I'm taking a code breaker, and like I actually fed down a little bit too much for my comfort zone,
Oh.
and I just
Yeah,
ate
right
it,
off
and
the
I was sat
knee.
there, and I was like, "Oh God, I broke my nose, and it's my fault."
Yeah.
And like so, like pain is worth it sometimes. Sometimes when you play hard, it is so worth it, and you can't be upset. Like all you can do is do it. You're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
okay, let's keep going, please."
Yeah.
I
So,
love it, man.
so that's my second one.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I gotta admit, the match that I actually had in North Carolina with what's his name? Elijah Logan. He was
Yeah.
yeah, he was my second match on Sunday. He was he was a great competitor. Like he was a great worker, had a lot of input to put in. Like, cause sometimes when you work, like I feel like sometimes I work with people and it's like they just like listen to what I have to say and like I'm like, I just built this match. Do you want to put something in? They're like, oh no, that sounds fine. And I'm like, no, this guy was like, hey, what if we did this? What if we flipped the script and we did it this way? And I was like, bro, that totally makes totally awesome sense. And I was like, let's run it. And he goes, you have no problem. I was like, no, that's awesome. Because when you can build a platform and the other guy can build a better platform too, and you guys
Yeah.
combine them, oh my God, it's just like, it's great. And I never really like I met a few guys here in Colorado that can really do some things like that. You know,
So
like
4 years in, man, like what is your goals in the wrestling business? Because I'm hearing you're getting booked a lot because you're talking about wrestling last week, talk wrestling this week, wrestling coming up. Like you're going to Carolinas, you're going to Colorado, you're going to Texas. So like, what's the end game for you?
well of course my big pictures either AEW or GCW.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to be on a bigger platform and wrestle at a higher velocity on a bigger platform. Even like if I don't make it to AEW, say like Warrior Wrestling or Wrestling Revolver or like some of those bigger platforms on the indie levels.
Sure.
So like I really personally want to go wrestle in the East Coast again in like New York and Jersey and where
A lot of
some of the
wrestling in
old
PA,
school
buddy.
big
A lot of
yeah,
wrestling in PA.
yeah, there you go. Philly too. I'll go down to Philly too. I want to go to all them big wrestling spots where like back in the day they were like because they're still
Oh, yeah.
popping now. So like that's where like I want to go. That's where I want to be at that scene,
Right.
at them bigger, higher levels, because I feel like that's where some of the greatest things come out of. To be honest, I
Yeah,
mean, Eddie
somebody,
Guerrero had
somebody,
to travel eventually to New York and to them bigger
yep,
platforms,
Sure.
you
yeah.
know, to get where he wanted to. So that's where my dreams and where my direction is going.
That dude
And
defended
I
the
want a
world
bigger platform,
championship on WrestleMania. You know what I mean?
And
you
there's
know.
always somebody running in the tri-state every weekend. Somebody's doing something. Somebody's running something. There's no shortage of work out here in the tri-state.
Every weekend.
Yeah, I'm saying somebody's running somewhere.
Somebody's running somewhere here. New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, every damn weekend, man.
And see, that's awesome. That gives like workers like us a lot of places and
Mhm.
a lot of places to showcase our talents and stuff. And I like that. And that's what I really want to do.
Love it.
But I really want to like learn and get like into a lot of these promotions also around here in Colorado and
Right.
like Arizona, New Mexico, Texas. Like I even want to go work up in Wyoming.
Really?
You know, yeah, because there's a promotion up in Wyoming that I heard about. So I've actually been wanting to go work with them. Battlegrounds was somewhere I wanted to work since I heard about them. So I actually got to break into the scene.
Mm-hmm.
And what a lot of people don't know is that Plex is actually going to have his own indie show, like the ride of
Oh,
of the indie pro wrestler, and it actually is called the Plex Effect on Center Stage Networks,
Wow.
that's great.
and that's
Like,
where
so,
you can that's where you can find my battleground matches too on Center Stage Networks.
that's awesome, dude. So like it's gonna be like documentary style?
Yeah, kind of like about like my journey from the beginning, and then I tell my story to like shows how I cut promos, like kind of like the daily life of what I do, how I do things, like right before a show, or like kind of like AEW All Access, but
Right.
without all. I'm gonna take away all the stuff that you're not supposed to really see.
Right.
You know, I don't want to give you guys the magic of Plex. I
Right.
want you guys to be a part of the magic.
Yeah, we need to experience it, man. Well, I mean, if you ever come out here, we need to know that, you know, because we want to be there live when it happens. Um, but yeah, what do you got coming up in your area for people who want to see you in your area?
I actually got May 28th, One Revolution Wrestling. It's actually a lucha show up in Colorado Springs.
Okay.
That's where they could find me next. And then after that, I believe I am back at MPW.
Yeah, in June.
And I'm not sure. I'm hypothetically speaking, but I may be facing Dr. Payne once more because he has become the new Boomtown champion. But
No.
I'm not sure. I haven't talked to Marcus about that yet. But that's where you might be able to find me at MPW after that, and then RCW.
Right.
And then on June 24th, you can find me in New Mexico
Ooh.
at Dynamite Wrestling Entertainments in New Mexico, Albuquerque, with Cooking with the Homeboys at their facility. So yeah, we're doing Plex is kind of moving around. I really like to be
Yeah,
on the road.
you're busy. It's great.
That's awesome, man. That is so cool to hear, you know?
Yeah, like, and I agree. Like, you know, like I want to move around. I'm trying to get booked. I want to get booked in California, Oregon. Like, Plex is really trying to move, like, and do like as much time. Like, I know I only have 4 years, but I'm only trying to get better in each locker room that you go into, and when you learn, you only get better and you only get wiser in this game. And you know, I just really like to soak up all the knowledge that I can from older vets, because that only
Have
makes
you
me
ever
better.
met or come in your travels? Have you ever met or come across the, you know, people who, you know, so are so-called legends in the business, guys that have done this for a living, whether it be for WWE or WCW or something like that?
Yes,
Such as?
I have met actually I have met Ryzen.
Okay.
Okay.
I actually have done a 4-day seminar up in Denver at Rocky Mountain Pro. It was a video developing seminar, and it was with D'Lo Brown,
Oh, neat.
Zimbodi, Josh Matthews, and the head rep of Impact. What's his name? I forgot his name. I always forget his name.
I know who you're
But-
talking about because D'Lo's working for Impact now, right?
Yes, and
Yeah,
actually, there's a little secret about PLEXX. D'Lo actually corrected my Irish whip while I was actually at the seminar. He said my Irish whip was garbage and to never do it again. And he fixed it. He actually took me in the ring and personally helped me fix my Irish whip. And like, I'm gonna tell you, talk about D'Lo. D'Lo will, if he tells you it's shit. I'm sorry,
Right.
but if
No,
it's,
you can. You're good.
Oh yeah, Brian Hebert. That's right, his name.
Yeah.
Brian
Yeah,
Hayward.
he told me it was. He's like, yeah, don't ever do that. That was dog shit. He goes, don't ever do that again. He goes, because I Irish whip one guy from the corner to the other corner. He goes, logically, if I throw you 16 feet across the ring, you're gonna just keep running 16 feet. So I was like so like awesome. I was like, yes, I got taught by. So I haven't done that ever again.
No, but
And
that's
then-
great, right? I mean, it's great. You never stop learning.
Yeah, and then with Josh Matthews, oh my God, I did a promo with Josh Matthews. Everybody did wrestling promos. I cut a promo on having the livest tacos ever, and I made Josh Matthews so hungry after my promo. He goes, I could see you coming in a taco truck with LED lights all over it, serving tacos, and then when it's time for you to get in the ring, you're taking this apron off. He's like a kicking butt and doing all these crazy lucha moves, and I was like, that actually sounds like a good idea.
I love it, man.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, and then who else have I met? Oh, I met Mike Dax Draper.
Where do I know that?
High Magnum.
Oh, okay.
Marty the Moth from Lucha Underground.
Yes, Marty the Moth. Yes.
Yes, great dude, fantastic dude. Those guys are great. Who else? Sledge from ROH.
Right.
Manny Lemons from Devotion. Who else? Rika Tahaka.
And you picked all these guys' names, all these guys' brains.
Yeah, because Manny Lemons, I ran a seminar actually. I did a seminar at Renegade Championship Wrestling with Manny Lemons. He ran a seminar and I actually went to it. That's actually how I met Gino Rivera, is I went to one of his seminars.
Right.
So I really love going to seminars because that's how you really learn. And you get to meet some of these guys and they let you talk to them and interact with them. And that's what's really great about it.
Yeah, I've been
All
seeing
good stuff, man.
a lot more flyers for those coming around this way. And whenever I see a flyer for it, I always make sure to share it out because, yeah, those are so valuable to talk to somebody that's been at that top level that's, done it. You can't help but pick up at least one thing out of it that you can use.
And you know what? That's what they all say. They could be like, we could have this whole 30 to 45-minute conversation right here in this locker room. And I guarantee you right now, you're not going to remember most of it, but you are going to remember one thing that you took out of this whole conversation. And that's what you got to take out of it. And I was like, wow, a lot of the guys that I met, they're really upfront. So that's what's really great about it. Even Ryzen was a sweet, that dude is so sweet. He was awesome. I really thought it was something different from him, from AEW, but he was so down to earth and so greeting and so understanding. We really sat there and we talked and how he met me. My wife told him, you haven't met my husband yet, but he's an AEW mark. Right. And so he laughed about it and he goes, oh, I got to meet him already. So when I met him, he goes, you got to be the mark. And I was like, yes. I was like, nice to meet you on PLEXX, So that's how our conversation got started. And I was like, that's so funny.
Yeah, to me.
Yeah, like I'm glad that I got to meet some of the guys that I met as
Oh
of
yeah.
late. I really missed that last Callisto seminar, which was like,
Yeah.
but it's because like we were like in two different directions I had to go. But I
Right.
really wish I could have gotten there because that would have been amazing.
Well, he's doing more of those. He's doing more and more of those around. He did one here recently, here in PA
Oh
recently.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Getting all over.
Yeah, because I figured he would stop doing them since he has signed with AEW. So
Yeah, but that might change. Right, that might change.
Yeah.
But he was on basically like a tour of doing those for a while. I don't know if because AEW doesn't usually stop their talent from doing other things.
Yeah, they don't run terribly much. I know they're starting to get into house shows and stuff, but it's still a pretty light schedule where a lot of it is kind of like what Impact contracts were, where it's like you can do other stuff, just make sure that you're available anytime we need to book you. We're signing you with the idea of we are priority. That's what you're telling us if you sign this deal, that we will be your priority. But otherwise, you can go out and do other stuff. We won't stop.
okay.
Just make sure that, when our television taping or our pay-per-view or whatever comes around, you're there and you can be booked. Don't have another booking because we expect you to cancel it if you do.
Okay. Yeah. See, I didn't know that. That's
It's not like a WWE deal where they lock you up
where they lock you up
to run.
See, that's what I kind of like about AEW though, because they give you that freedom.
Yeah.
And and I'm not biased or anything. Like I love all wrestling because I'm gonna tell you right now, I watch Impact, I watch Ring of Honor, I watch AEW, I watch WWE, I watch New Japan, I watch Triple R, like all around. I watch wrestling like all together and as one whole.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about. Are you then because you just called yourself an AEW mark? Are you excited about that All In thing in London? With the big crowd, they already have sold tickets.
Honestly, I am. I'm actually very stoked that they're really like. I really want them to sell out that stadium.
Yeah, that's a hell of an accomplishment so far. I mean, 50,000, and they didn't announce even one match yet.
Yeah,
that's what's crazy about it. Like how many just you're selling out an arena that quick and like not even one match has been announced. And then the greatest thing though, they already I could tell you Miro will be involved in this last Wednesday, like him coming back was like I was even like I got my mother-in-law like into AEW and I was telling her, I was like, you know what, they need to bring Miro back now that they got all these big dudes. And then all of a sudden here he comes walking across the screen and I was like, oh.
I also think they need CM Punk in that mix somewhere in that on that card. I don't care how, but somewhere against Jericho, against Omega, whatever. Yeah. They got to figure that out.
I think they're gonna have all that worked out for that show because that's one of those things where it's like nobody on either side should want to not be getting a payday from that show and put on that show.
That show's just gonna be like that's gonna be one heck of a show.
Yeah, it's easily the biggest show they've ever done and the most important show they've ever done.
And then they got to come back and do All Out as on top of that, like
all in, all out,
all in, and then you're going all out. Might as like. So like that's great. Like we're just having like with me, I just feel like wrestling in general right now is just totally fantastic. Like the whole like general like the whole wrestling entertainment business right now as a whole. I just feel like they're doing a great job. Everybody's doing their own little thing, so you get a little piece of like whatever you're looking for.
Yeah,
like you just gotta like. How do you say that? It's like how does my coach say? It's a flavor of ice cream.
Right.
It's all the same substance. It's just different flavors.
Right.
And
that's a great line. That's a great line.
Yeah, that's something like he coached us on a lot. Like when we're coming into school, and he's like, it's all the same stuff. People are going to train you like the same, but they're going to do different things that I don't do. But it's all the same stuff, just different flavors. different styles, different unique techniques.
All right, man. Well, we're running short on time, so I'm just going to ask you one last question, and then we'll let you tell everybody where they can follow you on social media and stuff like that. So my question to you is your favorite wrestling match of all time that does not involve PLEXX the Livest Mexx.
Of all time.
Your own personal favorite.
Okay, that's easy. Kenny Omega versus John Moxley, the lights out unsanctioned match.
Okay.
That got you motivated to get in the business. Yeah.
Yes, John Moxley. Yes. So no, totally. That is the match that actually got me into this business and actually got me into the ropes. So that is one of my all-time favorite. Actually, matter of fact, I just went out and bought the artwork from AEW for that match because that match totally means a lot to me because that's what got me into the ring to this day.
Yeah.
Love it, man. Awesome. All right. Tell everybody where they can follow you on your social media.
So if you're looking for the Livest Mexx PLEXX, you can find me on Facebook at PLEXX Livest.
Right.
You can find me on Instagram at PLEXXZone123. You can find me at TikTok at the PLEXX Zone. And you can find me on YouTube at the Livest Mexx PLEXX channel, where you can find all my matches, even last night's matches on there. So you can go right now and look at it on YouTube at the Livest Mexx PLEXX.
Awesome, my man. Well, listen, man, we wish you nothing but the best. We're going to keep tabs on you. We keep tabs on everybody that's on this show. We appreciate you hanging out with us for an hour and talking wrestling. You made our job extremely easy because you tell great stories and long details. So I loved it, man. Professor, you got any parting gifts?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to echo the thank you for hanging out with us. And I mean, keep thinking big, keep plugging away at it, keep being that guy that says, if everybody else is doing this, be the gorgeous George, be the guy that says, you know what, I got to be different. I got to be a little different because if I'm a little different, I'm the one that gets noticed.
Thank you. And I appreciate it. And that's very much noted in my heart. Thank you.
Yeah, man, nothing but the best for the future. And like I said, we would love to have you back like in 6 months or a year and see how you're doing.
Already, I would love to be back, and I would love to tell you the stories that I've come across from then. Thank you guys for having me, guys.
They're gonna just keep mounting up, right? I see it. They're gonna keep mounting up,
I love it, man. I can't wait to tell you some of the great stories from then. I really can't. It's going to be an even better podcast because then we have more details to go into.
I love it, man. All right, don't go anywhere when I go off the air. Professor, next week, as a reminder, we do not have a show. I'm on vacation, and I will be back. Keith and I both will be back the following week on the 28th, Sunday, the 28th of May. We will be back with another guest on Around the Turnbuckle, and we have our big 3-year anniversary coming up with loads of surprises as usual. Each one of those anniversary shows, and if you haven't seen the second anniversary show or the first anniversary show, go on our YouTube channel and check it out because there's always surprises and cool things like that. And the third anniversary show will be no different than the rest of them. In the meantime, for the Professor and PLEXX, the Livest Mexx, I'm the Big Al Boski. This was Around the Turnbuckle. We'll see you guys next time.
You think you know me?
Oh, yeah.